Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing fantastic. Tea and Mortgage Podcast, episode number 44 with John Coleman.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again. No, I'm looking forward to our usual monthly chat, and hopefully we can bring some value to our listeners. Is that the term we use when we talk about a podcast?
Yeah, listeners, watchers, viewers, subscribers, audience, let's just say
Well,
friends.
and I'm proudly wearing my JC Mortgages top. I'm going playing a squash match, so as soon as we're done here, so I'm ready
I
to
think you
I'm ready to
promised
roll.
me
But I'm
one
out
of
there
those.
promoting. What?
I think you promised me one of those t-shirts a long time, or one of
I
those nice
did.
shirts
Did
a
you
long
not
time
get it in
ago.
the post? No.
I'm still waiting. I'm still
Okay,
waiting.
that's Spanish post. I'll tell you, we'll have to have words there.
But John, yeah, we have something important today to share, because I know this is one of the foundational pieces of getting approved for a mortgage, but there's probably not enough good information and advice and analysis. And that's basically what lenders see in your bank statements and what can be a mortgage approval killer in your bank statement.
Right. Well, this is my pet hate, or like the topic that I kind of go on and go on and go on about like a broken record. People don't realize how important bank statements are, right? It's not a case of I'm earning X, the bank will lend me what I want based on that. It's the next, with most of the banks, the next most important thing is, okay, in theory, we'll lend you 300, 400, 500, whatever that may. Now prove it to us based on the behavior in your bank account for the last 6 months that you can do this, right? And that's the overriding premise. Now, what you find with people's bank accounts is they can be all over the place, right? And I'm using those words kindly. There can be money coming in, money going out. Um, Sometimes there's gambling, sometimes there's overdraft, sometimes there's missed
Mhm.
payments, right? So I suppose, and I know we're going to get into sort of probably specific conversations as this conversation goes on, but as an overriding principle, keeping your bank accounts, and I say this to people, and it sounds like I hope it doesn't come across as condescending, but uh, keep them that a 12-year-old can understand. Okay, that
Yeah.
basically you need to be able to, by just keep having your bank accounts, that the bank, okay, your repayments are going to be 2,000 per month, that they can see 2,000 per month, the ability to repay 2,000 a month. There's not money coming in, money going out, and it just muddies the whole water. So while I
Yeah.
know we all live our lives and we have like our whole life isn't all about getting a mortgage, right? But for the purpose of getting a mortgage, you need to keep it as clean as possible so that
Mm.
think about the concept. We're all human beings. We're all fundamentally don't want to have to work so hard. So an underwriter's mindset is, okay, right, I'm looking to lend these people money. Okay. How clean are their bank account? How they want to be lending to people who have very, in theory, this is just how it all looks on paper, have very ordinary lives. They pay their rent, they save their money, and they live their life on their own. They're not giving money to friends, not taking money for friends, not gambling. Whole hope.
Sending money abroad
Yes,
to
I was going to touch on
family.
the
That's
sending the
one.
money abroad
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a big one. So, but in as an overriding principle, keeping your bank accounts as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And that's for a 6 month period prior to actually looking for. That's if you want the choice of all the banks. There is one bank or two banks that aren't as fussed about that, but they come at an interest rate
Yeah.
premium. So it wouldn't be the perfect way. So if
So
I'm
that's
telling
great.
someone in advance,
Yeah.
get your bank accounts looking clean.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it's important to note that 6 months, it's not 10 years you have to do that, but really, really, really watch your bank accounts and set them up what they want to see for 6 months. So we're
Yeah,
going to
and
be talking about,
it is optics, Norm. It isn't like it's a case of, well, if some people might, and this is probably bad advice, but if you have cash that you've stored away for some people do, spend the cash, live your life on the cash basis, then your bank accounts look better. Okay,
yeah,
this is all about
yeah,
how it looks, how it all looks on paper, and that will be the my very strong advice: clean bank accounts.
absolutely.
There's the broken record again. That I'm
Clean
sure
bank accounts. Yeah.
before we finish this particular conversation, I'll have used that one or more two times because that's how important it is.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. So definitely today in the podcast, we're going to talk a lot about bank statements and mortgage approval, but what lenders actually look for, like you said, optics, things that can cause problems or delays, because it's not always a absolute mortgage killer, but maybe it complicates things and causes more paperwork and delays, and then what people should do before they apply. So if it's okay with you, John, I have a couple questions.
Perfect.
Um, and we're going to start out broad, and so you could just basically touch on these things, and then we'll get into the specifics more. But so here's a big one. What are lenders actually looking for when they review your bank statements? What items are
Well,
they looking for?
they will look for two things. Firstly, they will have a figure in their mind that they need to see you can pay. And that's based on the amount of money you're looking to borrow and the amount of money that you qualify for. So then they will look to see, okay, is this person paying rent? We'll touch about where that can go wrong in another way, but rent is the first thing. Then can they see if the rent isn't enough to cover what their monthly repayment is? Can they see that there is a consistent, and that word is really important, a consistent pattern of savings? Okay, so that it's not just 1 month they're saving X, right? And then the next month they save nothing. It's consistent. So, because your mortgage is on a consistent month by month basis. So they need to see it on a consistent basis. So rent, monthly savings are the key components of
Mm-hmm.
basically proving to the bank that you can meet repayments. Then there's a whole heap of other things that can work for or against you, but that they're the
We'll get
first two
into
things.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and how far back do they normally look? You might already have answered this one.
Yeah, no, it's a 6 month period. Now, that
Okay.
would be if you're looking to go to a bank that your own accounts are with. Obviously, if we were going to a bank that your accounts are with, they do have it within their authority to look at previous behavior, and they tend not to. But I have
Yeah.
come across occasions in the past whereby I think I'm presenting a perfect application, and the bank comes back and says, "Well, listen, what was this guy doing 9 months ago?" That so in theory, it is a 6 month window, and but it's not. That's not absolutely cast in stone, especially if you're going back.
Yeah.
It is. It's cast in stone if you're going to a bank that don't have your bank accounts. It's not cast in stone if you're dealing with your own particular bank.
Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about mortgage approval killers or mortgage application killers. So, what are some of the biggest red flags you regularly see in people's bank accounts that the bank doesn't like?
Okay. Well, we mentioned rent is the first thing they will look at, right?
Yeah.
If you're paying rent, and this is a bugbear of mine on how the banks treat this, but if you're paying rent and you're living at home and the narration on your bank account is a family member, right? So say so you see €1,000 going to Coleman every month. The bank will not include that as rent because they think you
Mhm.
don't pay. And I don't know why they do it this way. And it's a fight I'm not going to win with them. They will just discount that. Okay.
Mhm.
Secondly, sometimes landlords don't want rent via the bank account, so they have to come there. So you're paying it in cash. Okay. And if there's no consistent pattern of
Mhm.
seeing a withdrawal of money on a monthly basis, right? Um, that can't be proved. You can say, when I'm paying it, I'm taking it out. You can see 300 here, 200 there. But
Yeah.
again, I go back to that point. Can a 12-year-old follow what's happening here, right? So
And it
it's
needs to
about
be documented.
it
Yeah.
needs to be documented. So
Yeah.
if you happen to be paying rent to a family member, I would change the narration on whatever's going out of your bank account. I would literally have the word rent, and that's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that they don't, you're not giving them a reason to say no, right? And if
Yeah.
you're paying rent in cash, make sure you're taking. This is where it can be slightly an administrative hassle because say your rent is 1,200, and that's what say there's two. Say it's 1,800. You might be able to take 1,800 out of your bank account on the same day because of limits. So you need to do it in 2 days, which creates hassle for people. And obviously,
A
people
lot of
don't.
confusion. Yeah.
Yeah, and people don't like hassle, and it's. But when it comes to not doing it, it creates more hassle at the back end when the banks are saying, "Well, hold on, we can't prove your rent. Sorry, come back to us when we can see a consistent um,
Yeah.
rent savings." So that would
Absolutely. So,
be. Go on. Yeah.
so yeah, and so that's good information. We're going to get into more of the other red flags as well. But here's an interesting question for you that let's flip it. Is there anything that people, consumers, mortgage applicants panic about? They think it's the end of the world, and but it's actually not that serious to banks. So sort of the other way.
I don't want to be seen to be encouraging any level of what we would call not perfect
Hypothetically, right?
hypothetical like See, I'm of the view that you can't have your bank accounts can't be clean enough, right?
Yeah.
And missed direct debit is not a good look, okay?
Hmm.
But it's not, if it's only one, it can be explained as an administration. But I'd never tell anyone to deliberately have a miss. Like I would say, listen, we can work with it, but it's not perfect. Okay, so sometimes people think, oh God, something happened. It's the end of the. I can't apply for 6 months. That's not absolutely true. Does it create a question? Absolutely. Is it an immediate deal breaker? I would say no, but I wouldn't want to give off the impression that John says it's okay to miss a
Yeah.
direct debit on a
Yeah.
sports subscription or something like that because it's not. It's a pattern of behavior. Remember,
Yeah.
the underwriters are looking to lend to people not just based on their income, but the profile of how the people how
Yep.
they manage their money. So missed
Yep.
payments, living in an overdraft, are very much signals of someone who doesn't manage their money to the best of their
Yeah.
ability, or to the ability
But
that the bank would like.
but if it's a one-time anomaly,
One
then
time
it's not
anomaly.
necessarily an instant mortgage killer.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. So I
Yeah.
don't want to be the big bad teacher. So you can't do that. It's over. It's just preferably you wouldn't. And certainly a pattern of that kind of behavior would be very much a red flag.
Yeah.
So I would be avoiding doing it. But I always say talk to someone like myself to see, because we will always review the full suite of bank accounts before we would submit it to an application. If we don't think it would be approved, we will say, listen, go away
Yeah.
for a period of time, do X, Y, and Z, and then we'll be ready, right? So
Yeah.
that we don't just take your paperwork but we do our own forensic analysis before it goes anywhere.
Absolutely. To that point too, you mentioned this before, but do overdrafts cause a lot of problems for mortgage approval?
No, they don't. It's not exactly like. See, this is where the irony. Well, the bank gave me the overdraft in one hand, and now they're using it as a stick to beat me with. So there is a little bit of, sorry, there is a bit of kind of a paradox there. But in like
Yeah.
from a mortgage point of view, the banks certainly don't like seeing people who basically from one end of from the beginning of the month to the end of the month are in their overdraft. Again, it just gives off this the a profile characters of someone who doesn't worry that much about their finance if they're prepared to live in overdraft for the just on a perpetual basis. So I think within the overdraft rules, you do need to be in credit for a certain period of time, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's a rule for the overdraft. The underwriter for a mortgage has a different headset on or headspace
Hmm.
or how he's viewing it, and he's viewing it. Okay, well, these people are looking for 300, 400, 500,000, and they can't live within their means. They're having to use their overdraft. Again, it's not always a deal breaker. And if everything else is like they could have really good monthly savings, do you understand? So that could
Hmm.
counterbalance that. Okay. So
Hmm.
it's not a deal breaker, an automatic deal breaker, but it would certainly be something that I would be encouraging people not to be using their overdraft to the point whereby when they're coming to apply for a mortgage, it's just a bad signal, you know.
It's good info, yeah. And here's an interesting one, a scenario. So let's say their bank accounts are clean, their rent they're paying on time, there's no late payments, there's no overdraft, anything like that. Everything is documented, but at the end of the month, there's no money left basically. The cupboards are bare. Or another follow-up question, do lenders care about a lot of cash withdrawals? You're not counting it as your rent is documented, everything, but you're taking a ton of money out. Do either of those two things really hurt you?
Well, the cash withdrawals, not per se, because they look at the bank account in its totality. So they're looking at it to see can you prove what you're doing? Now, obviously, if there was €500 coming out of your account every single day, well, that, that it's going to have an impact on the total figure. Do you understand? So on a well, all this money is going down, so your balance is falling. Well, if the balance of your accounts are falling, well, you can't prove to us that you can meet the repayments. So it's not the actual persistent cash withdrawals per se, okay, but it's the impact that they're having on your bank accounts. Now, if there's a lot of cash withdrawals and then suddenly a lot of cash deposits, right? So say they're counterbalanced. Well, again, that creates questions. Okay, why are you taking all that money out? Why is all that money coming back in? again, it doesn't go back to clean bank account. It goes back. It's a scenario. Well, there's 500 coming in here. There's 500 coming out. 600 back. 750 going in, and it just creates questions. Okay, and banks are suspicious. Might be the wrong word, but they certainly don't like to see a pattern. Cash withdrawals, not as much, but if there's a lot of cash lodgements, it certainly will create questions.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a big one. We're going to sink our teeth into this. Gambling, online spending, and Revolut. Three different things, but let's cover those. So let's start with gambling. How does the bank?
Gambling
Yeah.
is like, I'm not saying we haven't made people get approved when they gamble, but again, I don't want to be telling people how to live their lives. But if you're going to gamble, gamble with cash, right? Walk into a bookmaker's, put your bet down, give money to your friend or what. Sorry, I'm not advocating gambling per se, but I would
These are things you've heard people do. Yeah,
These are things I've heard people do exactly, because it's all about how it looks on paper. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's how the bank look at it. The bank will look at this. They'll have a back book of mortgages, right? And they will see the ones that will have failed or that will have started missed payments or misbehaving, shall we call it, right? And they've seen a correlation between mortgage going into arrears versus people who would have had might have been gambling previously. They would just see that correlation there. So when they're coming to, like, remember, excuse me, an underwriter is doing his job, but he's also has to kind of have this mindset. How do I stand over this decision if it goes wrong? Like,
has to be defensible. It has to be
defensible, right? So he's always thinking about his own personal reputation. If in a year's time there was a problem and they go back and review the file and they go, hold on, this guy was sending money to Paddy Power on a daily basis. Why would you? So it can lead to just a sort of a default no. Okay. Now, if someone was sending €10 on a football match on a weekly basis, is it automatically a no? Absolutely not. Be the same, like people do the lotto, they might be in syndicates for the lotto. That's a form of gambling to a degree, but it's not viewed as serious as sending money to a betting on a football match or betting on a horse race or betting on a tennis match. But it is. But I don't think a €10 per month is going to be a deal breaker, but I prefer not to see it because we're going back to, we're giving someone an opportunity to say no, right? Because they don't like it, right?
Yeah.
What we don't want to do, my role or our role here is an educational piece, is to help people be, when they're ready, to be presenting an application in the best possible light.
Yeah.
Trying to take away every opportunity that a bank can have to say no. So gambling on your bank accounts is it definitely a deal breaker? No. But if you're planning ahead, just don't do it. It takes any doubt out.
Well, it's only 6 months. And if, buying a home, getting a mortgage is such a big deal that if you can't, be disciplined, let's call it that, and structured and systematic with your bank accounts for 6 months, then maybe you do have a problem. So how about
I wouldn't say that, because in fairness, as I said, I'd put the odd bet on myself. As you know, I backed Spain for the World Cup. Sorry, I had to gloat about that again. So I'm not sitting here in judgment, by the way. I'm sitting here in kind of, let's work together to make it so that
let's get the mortgage approved.
Let's get the mortgage approved. Yeah.
I mean, it's all about that. It's
While I might be the big bad teacher when it comes to sort of living your life, I fully believe in it. But let's do it in a clever way, I suppose, is the message I give you.
Let's not hurt your chances of reaching your goal, which
is
exactly mortgage.
Yeah.
So how about
so much nicer than I could?
How about Revolut and those other like online banks?
It's an interesting one you say about Revolut. Revolut, there's still a myth out there that banks don't look for Revolut statements. It's not my bank account, right? There's this myth. Banks want to see everything. Okay, it's a forensic examination, of every one of your bank accounts. So if your main account sees money coming in or coming out from your Revolut account, they will look to see it. So it's considered to be one of the suite of your bank statements. So there's no Revolut is looked in the exact same way as any other bank account. It's examined forensically for money going in, money coming out. If they're big, what are they? Where are they going? Who are they coming from? there's no real differentiation except in people's minds, where they think I can do all my going back to the gambling, I can do all my gambling on Revolut. Doesn't work that way. It's
Well,
basically
Revolut now is a fully registered, compliant
oh, absolutely,
EU
yeah, yeah,
bank. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But in the past, I think it operated a little bit in the shadows. And
Well, they
so
didn't have what they didn't have an IBAN is the term
yeah,
that they didn't have an IBAN, and that might have created the myth in people's minds that it's slightly under it's slightly under the table kind of bank. But there is talk, and now there's been talk for nearly a year and a half at this point that Revolut themselves are going to enter the mortgage market. Okay, so
yeah, yeah,
now still waiting for that to happen. And it'll be that's a sort of a side subject, and we'll probably do a podcast on that if and when if it does happen. But I wouldn't differentiate Revolut with any other bank account. It is
yeah.
they're one and the same basically.
Well, this brings up a point too. What about crypto? What needs to be disclosed? What do the banks see? What do they want
Well,
to see?
yeah, crypto is very much. They don't view that as gambling, right? It just
No,
becomes
it's not.
yeah, they just view it as just another red tape statement that's required.
Okay.
Because if you've got crypto, there's obviously money going from some of your, shall we call it, your euro accounts into a crypto account. You're buying crypto. So they'll follow the money. So they'll say you're buying 500 euro worth of crypto and you see 500 euro. So it doesn't become a negative on your bank account. You need to have a statement to show that, well, hold on, that isn't a reduction in my total available funds. I've just taken it from here and I've invested in here. So again, it becomes a sort of another statement for the bank to actually want to see.
Yeah, that's good to know. And so how about this one as we wind down our list here? What about if on the bank statement you get a sudden windfall, you get that big inheritance, you get a massive bonus at work, or just all of a sudden, 50,000 euros hits your bank account during that 6 month
Well,
period? I mean, how do they view
let's bring
that?
it back a little bit. Let's bring it back to what I would consider like the 50,000 is a kind of a once off. It's not it's rare, but bonuses do come in, right? And this
Yeah,
is really,
yeah,
you touched on this. Bonuses are commission, right? Now this is where the banks get a little, and there's a divergence between how the bank will view this and how the individual will view it, right? The bank will view bonuses or commission as not guaranteed. Okay. So
yep,
you might get a 5,000 euro bonus. Okay. And you lump that into your savings. Okay. And I think this is very unfair, but this is how the banks will view it. They will see that 5,000 euro and the person will think, well, I've saved 5,000 euro in the last 6 months. Right. The bank will strip that 5,000 away. Okay. And they'll go,
because
okay,
it's not guaranteed
it's
to be
not
a
guaranteed.
periodic thing.
Okay. So they'll
Yeah,
take that away and say then your bank account has not gone up by anything because it's just relying on that one thing. Then they'll go, hold on, you didn't save anything really. You hadn't got that bonus. How are you saving? And
yeah,
again, and people view their bonuses as a kind of a guaranteed, and well, I'll ump my savings up when the bonus comes in. Most natural thing in the world to do, by the way. Enjoy
yep,
your life, and then I know there's a bonus coming. Okay, enjoy
yeah.
your life. I know there's a bonus coming.
Spend
Okay,
that found money on a vacation,
but
on the new
however,
car. Yeah, yeah,
you still need to be at the point whereby on a month by month basis, take the bonus away. Are you still able to show that you can meet the repayments of this
yeah,
mortgage?
yep,
That the same goes like that lump sum inheritance again. That will be taken out. That's not included as
yeah,
savings. So it's
yeah,
like now on the flip side, by the way, and this is if you had a once-off expenditure on a big item, say your last year university fees, for an example, you're studying and you had to pay 4,000 euro, right? I'm making that figure up, but that you could almost add that back and say, listen, I didn't really say that wasn't a normal expenditure, so I would have actually saved, and the bank, but again, you do need to. We'll see it and we need to document it and we need to
document it. Yeah, yeah.
be able to prove that's what it was. So it does work. It does work both ways.
Yeah, that's great to know. Yeah, and another thing, it's not just commission and bonus or the inheritance, but maybe a lot of people are seasonal. They have more hours, more income in a very busy season. There are some, whether it's tourism, I don't know, other industries, but the bank probably looks at that with a critical eye as well.
Not as the overtime kind of gets viewed as well that you're saving it. It's the commission element and the
Yeah.
bonus of the two. That
Okay.
the overtime seems to be viewed at this moment in time, they don't strip away if you're saving from overtime, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
strip away commission and they strip away bonuses. They seem to view overtime as a sort of in a little bit, well, that's what they're doing and this is what they're saying. So they don't view it as a sort of a performance related payment. They view it as part of the job, basically,
Okay.
right? So it's not quite as they don't fund that away. But I could see the logic you were going with that. And thankfully at this moment in time, the banks don't strip that away.
That away, yeah. So we've talked a lot about different factors, what the banks look for, how to clean up your bank accounts. So most people probably don't come to you and their bank accounts are absolutely perfect and ready to go, right? So if, of course, it's 6 months to demonstrate all these things on your bank account, how soon should they come to you before that 6 month period? And how long does it usually
It's a
take for
great
you to get them organized?
There was one thing we didn't touch on. I don't know if you were going to touch on. I think it's important to bring up sending money abroad. I don't know if that
Ah, yeah.
was.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll address that first because, and I've said this in a recent podcast, and someone questioned me on it, but I'll stand over it. Like if you're helping your family out, basically, right? Banks can take a negative view on that purely and simply because they view that as a commitment that you have to make. Now, I'll stand in front of any bank and say, listen, if I'm earning money, I can do with what I will. There's no obligation to help my family, but if that's what I choose to do with my money, well, I'm happy to do that, right? But it's not an argument I'm going to win with the bank, okay?
Mm,
That is a conversation that they've taken a view. On an ethical basis, I fundamentally disagree. I think they're absolutely wrong in that view. But this is all about how do I tell people? I would tell them, listen, I'm not going to sit in front of someone and say, please don't help your family, right? I just couldn't do that. I
give
couldn't.
cash to your sister to send back to your mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
listen, if someone questions me for giving this advice, I look in the eye and say, well, listen, do you think you could tell someone don't send money to your family?
Yeah.
But listen, it's not a requirement. People aren't obliged to send money. It's what they
Yeah.
choose to do.
Yeah.
If an Irish person doesn't send money to his family, but goes out every weekend, spends €200 on the most overpriced meal or whatever person's choice is, that doesn't go against them. But because someone from a different country decides they want to not, they forego that kind of enjoyment here in Ireland to send money to their family, well, I'm not going to tell them not to do
They
that.
shouldn't be penalized.
They
But yeah,
shouldn't be
but
penalized. And
it's again,
I'm
it's the bank's money, so we got to play their game.
Yeah, and I don't feel I'm doing anything wrong by giving that level of advice.
Yeah.
As I say, it is all about we're trying to put a perfect application together. So it's all about what does it look like on paper.
Yeah. So let's go back to that one. If someone, their bank accounts aren't perfect, they need a little help organizing, getting them planned out and structured.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
then they have that 6 month period that's
Yeah,
clean.
well,
How soon
here's what
should
I
they
would
come to
often say
you?
to people. We'd have the conversation. We put their roadmap to them and say, you qualify for X, you need to show Y. Now, I would always say the following, right? If you want to buy a house now, you can do it because there is a bank out there that aren't as fussy about that repayment capacity, okay? But I'd advise a two-prong approach. One, if the perfect house goes, well, we have option A, okay? But while option A is going on, right, please do X, Y, and Z to get the choice of every single bank out there, okay? Or if they don't want option A, we will say, well, let me look at your bank accounts now, right? So they think they've been misbehaving, shall we say? I sound like a school teacher, but as usual, say they've been misbehaving or they feel that they've gone on holidays or they've overspent or whatever. I'll say, well, show me your bank accounts now, and I'll see what it did. I will kind of look at it for the last 6 months and say, okay, well, let's say maybe you overspent 3 months ago. So, well, okay, well, we look from 2 months ago and we go, okay, those two are fine. So we can fast track when it's not a case of 6 months from this point, it's 6 months from a point where your bank accounts give us a sort of they're at the bottom 3 months ago, and then we only have another 3 months to go. So
Yeah.
I'm always prepared to offer, do you want us to look at your bank accounts right now? So we can give you what you need to do right now to get everything perfect. So, but keeping in mind, I will
Excellent.
always say, if you see a house you really want, it can be made. I'm not saying to people go away for 6 months. I'm going to say to give yourself the the choice of all the banks out there, you need perfect bank accounts. Okay. So
Yep.
there
Yep.
is more. Currently, there's definitely more than one way to make it happen. Okay. But my role here is to make sure I can educate people to give themselves the best choice of all the banks that are out there.
Fantastic. Yeah, and this is a great start. This is great information. I know we're going to probably in future podcasts dive deeper into the individual, maybe one whole one on gambling or one whole one on sending money home or actually, what these people look for in the mortgage companies. But fantastic. This is great info. So thank you, John. T and Mortgage podcast number 44. Thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And obviously, if you're looking for more information or you need an updated roadmap, just get in touch, and that's what we'll be happy to do. Ari, based on the bank accounts, if you feel that you'd like us to look at your bank accounts just to kind of give you a what you need to do rather than what you think you should be doing, because ultimately
Yeah.
that's what we do on a day-by-day basis, and obviously be more than happy to, because our role is to help you get ready in the quickest time frame possible. And it is the hassle of paperwork is never going to go away though. So
Yeah.
at some
Yeah.
point, you're going to need to get your bank accounts together.
Absolutely. Well, T and Mortgage 44. Thanks so much, everyone. See you next month.
Cheerio. Thanks, Norm.